about it. So hey, you know, I'm sitting here with Under Armour. Gonna do some laps. You know, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about my day. Vincent Vargas, current DHS federal agent, psychological operations and cognitive influence strategist, graduate education, journalism and psychology, former U.S. Border Patrol agent, 75th Ranger Regiment veteran, author, doctoral student, Draper, Utah. You know, give me a sec, because I grabbed the pig today, so we're going to be dragging the pig around. One sec. Okay, so I grabbed the pig, doing some laps. Haven't done this in a while, need to. So I want to tell you about my day. You know, I did a whole video yesterday. I was uploading it. Didn't get everything uploaded. Didn't get it edited. Today I hit up Vincent Vargas and I tell him, hey, being that we're just two guys from the valley, let's go have some breakfast. No cameras, no nothing. Bearing in mind that this dude is a federal agent that's in charge of everything I just got done telling you. You know, the government's a powerful thing, man. A lot of you guys don't know it. But one time, Nancy Pelosi and I used to be neighbors. And I went to her mansion, hit up her security detail, messing with them a little bit, and told them, hey, is it true that Nancy Pelosi has a mansion around here? They didn't make much of it, but the next day when I was going surfing, I passed her house. I got a call from a 202 area code within minutes of passing her house. And they were looking at my Facebook, had my phone number, had my full name and everything, asking if I meant any harm to Nancy Pelosi. I did not. And so I'm sitting there. One sec. Let's set this down for a sec. So I'm sitting there. At the beach, telling this guy that I in no way, shape, or form mean anyone any harm, even though I've got my own attitude about certain things, which I do, clearly. I started doing these videos because things didn't sound right. You know, Vince, I like Vince. I do. I would go buy him breakfast tomorrow. Let me pick this thing back up. I gotta keep moving. And so in any event, when I see Vincent being a current DHS agent, having Sam Cooke or whatever his name is, the Canadian, Katerina Schultz, the Canadian, Ed Calderon, the Mexican that can't prove he was doing anything. And I see all this stuff. You know, I gotta sit here and wonder why he doesn't want an American on his channel. And why that's his job. And you know, to be honest, I should have been dead a long time ago, man. My wife saved my life. I've seen a lot of shit, you know. I'm gonna talk about it as soon as I get one lap out of the way. One sec. Let me finish this lap up. Now I gotta do it on camera. The special forces in the United States, without a doubt, have a severe amount, an extreme amount of technical capability, tactical capability. numerical superiority, all the advantages that you could ever want. But in Mexico, we actually get more in-game experience than they do. And when you go to work in Mexico, you're going to see a heavy amount of shit. It's the way it is, you know. I'm thinking of dead people. Right now I've seen shot through the head, women beheaded, not women, one woman beheaded, along with the other guys. The language abilities that come along with that. The way Mexican people have been treating me really, 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 really good. I've been really treated well. And the responsibility that comes along with saying, hey, this isn't right, and standing up for something. Hot today. No excuses. And so, I want to do a video once. Keep going. Just wanted to get out here and not be lazy. We'll do some more laps here in a little bit. Vehicle. Easy peasy. So hey, you know, they really need to push a pull-up bar here so you can do muscle ups. They don't have one. But I sit here, and out of the entire group in Mexico that have operational experience, which is to say GAFE 423, Ed Calderon, myself, some dude Eric, maybe a couple others, I am the only one that's proven exactly who the fuck I am. And I'm going to say it that way because I'm just being real. You know, the fact of the matter is I have not lived a perfect life, but I have since gone out of my way trying to make up for it and doing the right thing. People hang up on my past about gangs and whatnot. Fact of the matter is, and I'll include yesterday's video at the end of this if you want to watch it, cool, and if you don't, that's okay too. But I watch all these people talk about stuff and they don't have any proof, any substantiation. And in fact, when you go to look at all of it, it's easier to point out what they have proven than to point out what they haven't, because it's a matter of habit. They never prove anything. It's never proven. It's just substantiated. Trust me, bro. Canadians, Department of Homeland Security, psychological communication expert talking about everything on Ironclad, Jeremy Carey and everybody over there ignoring my phone calls, and I'm the only one out of all of them, little old me, that substantially goes out of my way to sit there and prove exactly who I am and what my operational experience and expertise in Mexico was. Ed won't do it. GAFE 423 won't do it. Jorge Rojas and Eric and the other guys won't do it. Diosdado. Luis Chaparro won't prove the CIA agents' names or how he came about that. And then even when you look at that, if things go on long enough without being challenged, remember when they said there was a whole bunch of headless babies in Israel? Never materialized. And they want you to accept it at face value. And then it gets parroted and mimicked enough that it's considered fact because so many people have echoed it at that point. And you know, you just can't let it stand. You got to say something. So I did. I started saying something when I saw Ed Calderon talking to Dan Crenshaw. And I started saying something, I go on these things, and because I find out that they're lying like Ali the fake cartel hitman and other things, and you bring it up, Let me ask you guys a question. You think these guys, even without my existence, have been 100% correct? Of course not. Do you ever see them print retractions or corrections about anything that they say? Never. You never see it. Doesn't happen. They'll sit there and they'll pump out content continually, day after day after day, but they won't ever sit there and acknowledge that they're wrong or prove their claims in any way, shape, or form. And then I come along, and the one guy that's proven everything, even as imperfect as I am, because if I was perfect, I would have made it into Special Forces. I went to go enlist in this country 7 times. And I want to say something about racism and other stuff, because a lot of people like to conflate my past with my present. If there were 2 grown men of any color walking across the street, of a little child of any color being beaten by someone of any color, the men would go over and save that kid, and that kid, no matter what color he was, would look up to those men for stepping up and doing the right thing for the rest of their life. 100%. And so that's kind of where I'm at with like humanity and stuff like that. One sec, I'm going to take a shot. A ver. Let's see here. I'm old. I haven't done this in a while, but here we go. You ready? Shit. I used to play, man, a lot, but fullback. Broke my leg the game before California State Finals, man. Oh, no. Yeah, what position you play? I play striker. Striker? Yeah, you got to let them know you're on my dirt, dog. That's my ball. Hey, thanks for the shot, guys. Have a good day. You know, treating people with respect and kindness. I'm about that. My wife saved my life, man. I lived the best life, man. I don't need all this Patreon money. And so when I'm looking at people like Vince Vargas, of whom I am definitely a fan, and then I'm watching him have his current federal agent position, have someone else that was just on the phone with me, Hector Barella, is talking about giving my brother and myself crack when we're children, watching the police in Uvalde tell people, parents, that they can't go and defend their children. You see all this stuff online, and it's hard to know what to believe because nobody proves anything. But there are some things that you intuitively know. You intuitively know that the police will sit there and not let parents defend their own children in Uvalde and fail to protect those children. Not Monday morning quarterbacking, it's just what it is. The police stop parents from going to the aid of their own children. However, these federal agents and stuff like that will go over and raid someone's house that has a gross income or net profit at the end of the week of $362, using the millions and billions that are in the federal government. They'll go after that guy for whatever, manufacturing weapons, whatever it is. But they won't go after politicians that are molesting children on islands in this country or others. Even though people that are white or Latino or black would sit there and defend a little kid on the street of any color. You know that's true. You know that they'll sit there and they'll go after you and arrest you for surfing during COVID. And I know this is true because, ironically, my wife had to get the shot because she wanted to go visit her mom. In order to go visit her mom, she got the shot. And I was going to get the shot. Oh, there are pull-up bars. Look at that. Found them. There they are. Maybe we can do some muscle-ups. She went to go get the shot. I wouldn't get the shot. I was going to be united with my wife in all things, but then I realized if I got that shot and I got blood clots and could not take care of my wife, I could not in good conscience get that shot. And you saw how many people supported it and how many people didn't. And we watch all these things online. And we watch people like Vincent Vargas with his title. You watch all that shit. And then you wonder. Old school, babe. You wonder what you can believe and what you can trust. And what you can believe and what you can trust are your own morals and your own principles and that which aligns with them. You can believe and trust people that would show you the receipts. But if people make a habit of not showing you receipts, or if people make a habit of avoiding people that are telling the truth, then you probably shouldn't believe them, including me. And so I watch all these people over the last couple of years. I put my face out there. I put my face out there to known federal agents, knowing they're going to go through everything in my past with a fine-tooth comb, knowing they can do it immediately as soon as I drive past their house while I'm going surfing. I've been here for a couple of years at this point, more than a year and a half, putting out my videos. Because people should not be lied to. And even though I've had an imperfect past, I try to do the right thing every single day because I got a great wife, I got a great life, and I hope you guys do too. My brother, my little brother, great big gargantuan guy, OD'd on cocaine when we were kids. I had to come into our bedroom and smack him in the head as hard as I could to try to wake him up. It's probably worth millions of dollars at this point because he's helped so many people in sobriety because of this. He was looking at 113 years. I myself have been looking at 15 years in prison to a life sentence. All because, or maybe not all because, but definitely helped in part by people like Hector Borellis, DEA, helped in part by people at the CIA, right? Helped in part by people of the United States Marshal Service that let them go. This is all per Hector Borellis and Vincent Vargas right there on his channel, not challenging any of it. And Hector Borellis on Danny Jones. I debunked Danny Jones's park ranger that was on there that was in a shootout with the cartel by contacting directly the special agent in charge of it for the California Bureau of Investigation. And he told me flat out, I uploaded the video, that they didn't have any evidence that it was cartel related. And I contact Jeff Bramstadt, and they've never looked at a Mexican training at Skydive San Diego that he knows of. And what people think of Ed Calderon, I've uploaded that channel, or that phone call. Travis Haley can get back to me when a Marsoc Marine if he thinks that there's a sales contract on it, but when I ask him if he's trained Ed Calderon, as Ed himself has published on Mexico Armado Forum, in Tactical Magazine Exchanges, he emails me back with an ITAR agreement, which means that if I put that what he does federal contracting, that technically I can be in violation of ITAR regulations. Anything other than a straight answer. You know, I come at you with this grill. I come at you imperfectly. I come at you just like, hey, yo, what the fuck? Because I'm real. I'm not pretentious. I don't overstate who I am. I don't act like I'm super rich with some type of green screen in the background. And I come across and meet all these people over the course of the last year. Let me get a couple of these out of the way. One sec. One sec. Not feeling it. Need to get a little bit more worked up. But I come at you guys and I'm just another dude talking about his bullshit life and talking about the things that I've seen and heard in Mexico. And then when you ask all these people, Mrs. Gonzalez, Luis Chaparro, Rivera, Stefano Rittendale, Katerina Schultz, everybody except someone that doesn't actually interview Mexican government officials or American government officials like the ambassador, at every turn of everyone that's had any operational experience, I've been shot down. Vince Vargas didn't start talking to me until I started building an open source intelligence database. I've got pictures of that. And I can't even get a spot on one of their things. But people like Ed and people like Kat and people like Sam Cook or whatever his name is, and the Riveras and the Luis Chaparros get by day after day after day peddling their bullshit with zero accountability, zero retractions, zero corrections, zero anything. And you know what? I'm not so stupid to think that there couldn't be heavy consequences for me at the end of all of this if I disrupt some type of narrative that people are trying to put out. But the thing about working in Mexico is you see death and shit like that so often because you live amongst it. And it's not chest thumping at all, because we are all, when you see someone that's been captured, there's a whole set of lessons you're going to learn during that too. Si jefe, no jefe, you learn that death is for everybody, that the second you fall into the wrong hands, that life is temporary, and that sometimes you're the guy holding the cards and sometimes you're not. You learn all these things in Mexico. And so I'm not really afraid of anything that might befall me. You know, the worst thing that could befall me is I would be captured and tortured by the cartel or the government at some point because they don't like what I'm saying. They send me on my way, and I'm going to go to the hereafter. I'm going to wait for my wife to show up, who I love dearly, and that's it. I'm not afraid of anything other than that because I don't do anything to offend my Creator. And so, you know, sometimes you just got to tell the truth, which is what I do. And I go to work and I work hard, which is what I do. Yesterday I got a review, and you know, my boss doesn't really like me very much, man. And I got all goods and two very goods. And even though I excel, and you know, I'm grateful that I got that boss because he's pushing me to continue school and do even better. Because I'm the new guy on the block. I'm just not in like the rest of the guys at work are in, man. I'm not in the club, which is okay. I don't have to be in the club. And then at the same time, my God requires that I continually push myself to do the right thing, be ethical, morally chaste. All the things that I'm required to do, man. And so that's kind of like what's up with this channel. Not to get too far off topic. I've been putting these podcasts out for a while. And I've been super upfront. You all know my last name. You know where I live. I live between here and LA. I've been all over the country doing podcasts directly in the face of the federal government and also directly in the face of the Mexican federal government as well, because people would be crazy if they think that governments on both sides of the border don't look at me. They absolutely do. And I keep my nose super clean because if I didn't, I couldn't be a public persona the way that I've been my face has been seen more than 10 million times at this point. And if there was a speck of my story that wasn't legit or for real, or one scintilla of anything that was out of line, I couldn't be hitting up federal agents and other things like that, being like, hey, where's all your proof and where are your retractions? I sit here and openly invite cartels for interviews, people I have fought against, that could potentially hack me up like barbecue chicken. But I think that that's better than sitting there enabling, through my silence, people to be swayed to invade or not invade places. And you know, that's one of the other things I wanted to touch on just briefly. When you watch children being murdered the way that they are in Gaza, non-combatants being murdered the way that they are in Gaza, schoolgirls being blown up in Minab, if you're a man, you should say something about it, and so I am. And so, you know, people can take issue with my past if they want. They can take issue with me relating the shell game story if they want. They can take issue with me however they want, but at least I'm being honest and forthright with you and with myself. When I look at myself in the mirror, I don't dislike the person I see, because I do the best I can with what I've got. And you know, I think we all should. And I don't think that the government, including every single federal agent at the Marshal Service, at the DEA, at the CIA, and including all the people over at the ATF that sat there and sent guns to shoot at me, shoot at Mexican citizens, little Mexican kids that were used to defend the Entrega, giving over drugs to children. You know, and one other thing, Shawn, what's up with you wanting to set up a drug ring in Mexico or in Colombia?
Went back down to Cartagena, stayed with a friend. The Secret Service scandal happened down there. Remember that?
Yep.
And which kind of like put it on the map for people to come visit and to go do bad things. And it became like very Americanized, and I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near Americans at all. And so I checked a lot of spots out around Colombia. I went to Cali, I went to Pereira, I went to Medellin, and then camped out in Medellin for about 4 years. And
doing what?
Living a rock star life. And a lot of cocaine, a lot of girls.
And then you're sitting down there wanting to set up a drug ring in Colombia, but Ed Calderon has to sit there and translate for you. What's up with that, dude?
I mean, the cartel showed up and said, you can't sleep here, move along, basically.
Wow. Why do you think the cartel didn't want him there?
Porque el cartel no nos quería ir. La atención que iba a llamarnos, que la prensa que llegara.
Eso que lo daña ahí. Pero la verdad las cosas nosotros no sabíamos nada, nosotros lo que dijimos que ya estábamos descansando y solo estuvimos.
They didn't want to do anything, they just wanted to rest.
But when the cartel came, how many of them were there? How many of them were there? How was the presentation?
¿Cómo sabías que eran malandros? Salieron con
No, de repente llegó un compa y dice.
What's up with all the Canadians being world-class cartel experts now, but you don't have an American on there that actually fought drug cartels in the hottest spot in the entire country and speaks English fluently and went to enlist in this country 7 different times? And something else about that, as far as where I'm at with America and Mexico, I went down to go enlist in this country 7 different times, and I didn't turn myself away. You guys turned me away, and then I went to Mexico and proved that I could do the job that you wouldn't let me do. So if there's any thing about loyalty, I am loyal to this country. I'm loyal to Mexico too. I do not shelter pedophiles. You do. I do not support blowing up school children. You do. And when I have something to say and feel a certain way about something, I put my own bacon on the line by going in to confront the problem myself, which I have proven for years. That is morally correct, morally upright. So, you know, why these cartel people ghost me, why Johnny Mitchell doesn't want to put me on his Facebook or talk to me anymore, why any of them, Camp Gagnon, the whole crew over there, you know, and I like them. Julian Dory and Tommy G, you know, what drug trafficker fills up a spare tire halfway full of product and only brings that over if they're working for cartel level distribution? Just all the things that you guys are told. So, you know, I would rather tell the truth and stand completely alone in a way that's financially defensible, because I'm not asking you for anything. In fact, I spend my own money and put my own bacon, and my wife puts her bacon on the line too, us even having this channel. And that's it. That's what's up. I'm going to go grab my wife and we're going to go get some Slurpees. And we're going to try to live some semblance of the freedom that we're supposed to have here in this country. Cheers, man. You know, and because it bears mentioning too, the entire blending the United States military with the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, and the implication of what's involved should there be war crimes going on. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna called their offices the other day, sitting there being congressmen trying to do the right thing. The entire cluster kerfluffle with the entire Charlie Kirk shooting and everything that's involved with that 308.
So, fat woman, are you the boss around here or what?
Fat woman, my ass!
Hey, I'm with the Axe Gang.
Axe gang, my ass!
But
Boss, my ass!
I will sue you for this.
Sue me, my ass!
How about a date?
Date, my ass!
A snake.
Snake, my ass!
you know, he starts getting critical of Israel, and then the next thing you know, his microphone's blowing up. He sure as hell wasn't shot with 308. And then all the beepers going off, like where the Israeli Defense Forces blew up a whole bunch of people with beepers, like they couldn't blow up one person with a microphone. Just everything that goes on, man. You know, you grow up quick. You know, I didn't want to have a transsexual dad. I didn't want to have a mom that smoked pot with Charles Manson. I didn't want to be given away the day I was born, and I didn't want to have a name or not have a name for the first year or two of my life until they got me back. I didn't want a lot of things, and you grow up quick, man, and you see things. But I don't need to act like or pretend like, because it would be pretending, like I'm any more astute than any of you guys are. You guys know what's up to. No one needs to tell you. You guys got your lives that you live and stuff like that. And no one, for the grand majority, the vast majority of us, no one's holding our hands and paying our bills and helping us get through day-to-day life. We do that all for ourselves, and we watch everything that's going on in this country. You know, you make up your minds and you be the judge yourself, you know. Be in this world, but not of it. That's what my God tells me. And you know, a truth that can't stand up to question isn't truth, it's dogma. The truth should always be able to stand up to questioning and evidence. And if you're the type of person that can't stand up to questioning and evidence, something about you is not being truthful. And someone told me a long time ago that if you have to do something in secret, there's a good chance that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. It's kind of the way the world works, man. Cheers. Hey, what's up, everybody? Free flowing form tonight in my video. You know, I just got a couple messages from a dude by the name of AJ Van Bakker, Bakker. And if you go check out his videos, the cat's pretty badass when it comes to martial arts, and you know what? To be honest, I dig it. I dig it because I think that your ability is something that should be demonstrated, not something that should be talked about online the way a lot of people do. You know, and we just shared a couple what's up messages right now. He's giving me some pointers on my channel. You know, I gotta say, having my wife duct tape me the other day and I didn't break out of it the way that I have so many other times. And I still put that up there because it's honest and it's genuine and it's what's up. I still got out, but I didn't break it all the way through the way that I had previously. Maybe it was a different type of tape, and in fact it was. But it's something to be looked at, and I want to start this video out with, I have made so many mistakes in my life. I have been openly racist. I have been physically violent. I have done drugs. I've done a lot of things in my life, a lot of things that I wish I could take back. And sometimes even the way that I say things like what I'm about to say right now. One of the most valuable lessons I ever learned was from 3 black people on an RTD bus in LA that I didn't like at all. And they're sitting there playing the shell game. And I love living around these black people. And the reason why, not that all black people are bad, clearly not. Definitely not. I would never say that these days. These days. I used to think that, but not. Mostly my shortcomings were my own. I've explained that at length. These guys were con men, and they were conning people with the shell game, and they taught me at a very early age, my early teens, well, mid-teens, that not everything is as it seems. And so, a lot of times the way that I project stuff doesn't come out, though. I'm not as eloquent as I would like to be, and even though I have a decent vocabulary in a few languages, and I'm articulate, there is a difference between articulate and eloquence. And to state something eloquently, the way that my wife would wordsmith a story in Spanish or whatever, as that is her job, she's a writer of sorts. And even though I myself write, the way that I convey something just in a toma, cabron type of way is not always the most beneficial way to win people over to my side. My channel needs a lot of work. I have asked for people to help a little bit, and I am grateful that AJ is volunteering some ideas, and his channel is much bigger than mine. My goal wasn't to start this channel to get big. My goal was to start this channel to get people to tell the truth and present evidence in order to prevent people from being killed. They shouldn't be killed like little Mexican girls with pigtails and braids. And they're the nicest, sweetest people running around that you would ever want to see. And then you have people that want to go over there and carpet bomb them. Man, I was doing some work down in the basement. Yes, hello, special visitor. We have Pig Cat here, who is appropriately named due to her penchant for devouring as much food as possible. Armopedia posted some stuff. Pretty relevant. A lot of stuff backing it up. If I had to support a channel, that would be a good one. I was doing some studying today. I've bought myself a subscription to Grok Artificial Intelligence, and even though I do not in any way or shape or form support data centers, and they're not there for AI, they're there for surveillance. Jorge Rojas, who is in charge of Armopedia, put out a decent video. I think it was 4 days ago, and most of the stuff that's in there is corroborated. There's still no evidence, zero evidence that the people were actually CIA. The CIA and other people have denied it outright. So people like Luis Chaparro, until I see evidence, I'm not going to believe anything. Like the black guys on the bus with the shell game, you know what? I got to see that sponge ball underneath that cup before I'm going to be like, yeah, there it is. Because I already know they're doing this switcheroo. Oh, look, it's over here, it's over here. Oh, no, look at that. It's a brand new phone. Look what you won, Bob. They do that type of stuff in surfing in Venice Beach. Same thing. You see a lot of things, man. Growing up around drugs, you see a lot of things. I got a compliment from AJ. He complimented me on having the courage and tenacity to go after people that are attached to the DEA, go after people that are attached to the United States government in one way or another, or call out Navy SEALs or whatever. And I'm going to do it because I don't want to be subpar. And I've been subpar in my own life so many times that not calling things by their proper names is a way of being subpar. And by not demanding proof, by not coming home and doing my homework as soon as I get home, I am failing my friggin' wife every single day by not being the very best man I can be. And I am not getting younger. I was told this weekend that I'm pretty well preserved and I don't look as old as I am. But believe you me, I know exactly how old I am, and I look at things in terms of shelf life and how long I have left to physically produce income for my wife, who I love dearly, and I am not doing enough. This channel, albeit it's not geared towards money, it is geared towards creating a better world that myself and my wife and other people will live in by getting people to put up or shut up. Provide your proof. With the subscription I got to Grok today, not today, I've had it for a little bit now. Looking out, I am the only person on cartel fandom that's worked in Mexico or has a Mexican podcast related to Mexico that has put his entire name out there. I'm the only one, which is crazy. Gafe 423 doesn't put his whole name out there. Ed Calderon won't put his whole name out there. We'll ask Scott Babb for certificates so he can bring him back to work. But Scott Babb, his instructor, does not know Ed's first and second paternal and maternal last name, which is to say his entire last name. Gafe 423, same thing. Eric something or other, same thing. None of these Mexican podcasters will put out their entire last name to where you know who is saying what, and then having that corroborated with all the people that they have on there, which is to say that not all of their sources should be revealed. Obviously not. I would never say that. But I'm going to say this: when 100% of your body of work is not being corroborated or substantiated by anybody that's been proven anywhere along the equation, there's a problem. Katerina Schultz, who I am constantly dogging, put out a video today. I'm going to give her a little round of applause. You know why? She at least had a Mexican guy there who is probably a reporter driving her around from one shooting to another in Culiacan, which is actually, I was in Los Mochis, Sinaloa when Peña Nieto was elected. So I know a little bit about Mazatlan, Culiacan, Los Mochis, and I'm not going to sit there and pronounce it like Los Mochis. Or I'm not going to sit there and accentuate the hell out of Culiacan, Mazatlan. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you say Mazatlan?
Mazatlan.
Mazatlan. I'm not going to sit there and overpronounce it so I can seem extra ethnic to my audience that I'm trying to fool. Kat, good job on including Mexicans in your journalism. You have a voice. Use it correctly. Not that I'm anyone to please. I'm just going to say, when you're putting out a product and you've been given a voice in one way or another, you have, use it correctly and include Mexicans in the product that you're putting out, and make sure that you represent them responsibly. I dig what you did today. I'm even put my little YouTube like on it. It was more quality packed in that video than you've put out in the entire last year. And I'm saying that from being someone that's worked for the Mexican government. Good job, Kat. Not going to be giving those out all the time unless they're warranted, but they were today. And I hope I have not created any problems in your world. That's not my intent. My intent is to sit there and make sure that the people that put stuff out that affect people that they don't even know in Mexico, to make sure that they get it right, because I care. I care because they cared about me. I care because there was a Latina chick in 7th or 8th grade at Sutter Junior High that took the time to teach me how to spell como está, and I thought it was one word, and come to find out it's 2 words, and there's an S on the end of it. And all the good Latino people that have sit there to take the time to introduce me to watermelon with salt and hot sauce, Maria Flores, and all the other people, Jorge, who I got in a fight with in that same class with that chick I was just telling you about, and we became friends because we both manned up and slung dogs with each other. And you know, like that, as long as you're doing those people right, you're not going to hear anything out of me. To the other people that are sitting there putting out all kinds of stuff, and I don't care if it's Hector Bareilles, Ed Calderon, or whoever it is, if you're misrepresenting a community that took me in, and not just in Mexico, but Latinos here in the United States too, and not just Latinos on either side of the border, but good Christian people that said that they were going to tell the truth and do the right thing, and not try to look for physical violence as their first thing, or trying to have some brain dead, mouth breather type mentality. That's not me at all, man. And that has been me, and I don't want it to continue to be me. And when I see it, I'm going to say something. So, you know, I'm not going to get real wordy tonight. I was just a bit surprised when I was looking at Grok, looking for all the... Because what I'll do is I'll grab your guys' transcripts, because I have to go over so much material. I'll extract the transcript out of whatever it is you're putting out. Basically, I'll look for a bullet point of the claims with a timestamp on it, whether or not there's concrete proof, whether or not there are any government officials. Hey, Kat, you're still lacking that. Government officials, they're your friends. Got to get the whole story, dude. Government officials, if you're doing a story on cartels in Mexico or a YouTube channel on cartels in Mexico, and you don't have any Mexican government officials, it's hard to take you seriously. Unless you've actually sat there and done the job yourself, which no one in the United States has. Period. If you're doing reporting on cartels in Mexico and you're a Mexican reporter, 1,000% you've got named Mexican government officials somewhere in your repertoire of people that you have interviewed, along with people from the cartel that obviously at times are going to be anonymous. However, the bulk of the work that I put out, let's play a game. Let's conduct one last game. We'll hang up this game with this, okay? We'll just do one question night with Dave while I'm drinking my little coffee. Should I put my pinky up? I was watching. So I was looking at Cody Sanchez, and she was saying that it's important the way that I present myself, the way that I come across. And so there's a gazillion different ways that I need to fix this channel and change it. That being said, I have a unique insight into a way that a lot of the things in Mexico work. But whether I worked in Mexico or not, one of the things that's clear is that there are so many stories that are put out there by Tommy G, anybody really in the cartel experience in the United States, cartel YouTube experience, that you could work there or not. And if you had solid, concrete evidence that you can corroborate, you can tell quickly whether or not you can glean the facts of the story, figure out whether or not there's corroborating evidence, and figure out for yourself whether or not you ought to believe the people that are putting that stuff out. So the game that I wanted to play, even though I'm in this t-shirt, forgive me, I'll get it right from now on, but this is an important point. Out of all of the cartel stories that you've heard in the last year, by people like Luis Chaparro, people like Gafe 423, people like Ed Calderon, whether he's on Shawn Ryan or whoever, when they said that the CIA has boots on the ground in Mexico, okay, where is your proof? Can you prove it at all? When you have people like Luis Chaparro saying, I got these names of these CIA agents from sources I have at the United States Embassy. Okay, no problem, Luis. Prove it. How did they name them? How did they name them without getting in huge trouble? Why would they give them to you? And then when you got people like Janet from Demolay, who is some chick that grew up and you come to learn a lot of things doing this channel. You know, I learned a lot of things, like there's a certain someone attached to Ed Calderon that ironically was the camera guy for Johnny Mitchell going way back and now is attached to Ed Calderon. There are things that you'll learn, like this Laura chick, or not Laura, Janet, excuse me, from Demolay. I'm assuming it's her because Ed called her Demolay before in his Manifesto radio podcast, is actually from LA, and she's got a husband that works at the embassy. How true that is or not, I don't know. But I do know that when I hear a security analyst that they should have a last name that comes along with it. You know my last name. It's all over the place. Glenn Beck, your story seems crazy, but everything we pull up seems true. And then I'm sitting there coming up with videos of video montages, documents, serial numbers off my Mexican weapons, check stubs, cartas de comisión, carta de portación, mi credencial policíaca, my number of employee, all kinds of stuff, my CURP, all this different data, concrete. I wish to hell some independent journalists would independently corroborate that so I can sit there and quit listening to artificial intelligence tell me, well, it hasn't been independently corroborated yet, even though I've been putting my face out there for a couple years now. Some journalists out there, please do me the favor, because unlike Ollie, Gonzalez, Rostro, Zach on Johnny Mitchell's and all the other cartel chapa that aren't really hitmen, not that there aren't any hitmen out there, there are, but a lot of them aren't. And they know it, and I know it, and I can smell it on people like you can smell bear in the woods. That's just, when you do this job, you get a nose, and you just, the nose knows, okay? And I see these people on there, and I can just sniff the insincerity right out of the air. And you can't fool someone that's been there. Hector Bareilles, I would love to interview you. Katerina Schultz, I would love to interview you too. And I'm still giving you props on your thing, and I'm still maintaining everything that I said about this last year. Because it's true. It is what it is, but that's okay. I'm not perfect either. None of us have to be perfect, but we do have to do a good job representing the truth and people that we don't even know because their lives may depend on it, and believe me, they do. They do. They absolutely do. You have a moral responsibility the same way that I have a moral responsibility to drag my ugly butt up here without my tooth that my dental insurance doesn't want to fix because it's already been treated once and it got knocked back out. Whatever, man. If you're going to judge me on the absence of one tooth or not, when the bulk of what I'm coming at you with, backed by evidence, while I'm demanding you to put your cards face up on the table too, and they won't, that's where the real problem is, guys. Tommy G, I've reached out to several times, doesn't want to talk to me, which is fine. He doesn't have to. It's a free country. But when I call up his phones or when I'm sitting there pointing out that cartels don't fill spare tires up halfway full with narcotics when they're trying to smuggle it across the border, there's a lot. And when cartels don't appreciate having people that are under federal indictment in the United States go on YouTube to spout stuff all over internet land like in Tommy G's videos, the problem is not with me being schizophrenic, as Tommy G would tell Julian Dory or ask him. The problem is with Tommy G not providing enough evidence or vetting the people that are on his channel. That's the problem. I vet myself and put my stuff out there because I know talking this much smack, if I don't, sooner or later someone will. So I better be coming at you correctly. And you can believe me that I am. Am I always this combative?
Yeah.
Always? And everything?
All the time.
I got my review today, guys, at work. I work for a lot of people that are really smart. My wife is stealing my coffee. I got 2 really good things, and then the rest of them are good. You know what? I work with people that are really smart, but, also at the same time, I'm the new guy on the block, and I don't fit in a way that a lot of the other people that have been there several years fit in. And I know that I have to put my best effort into my homework, into my channel, into my book, or else I'm going to fail my wife. And I need to put my best effort into the place where I have a home. My wife and I own a home in Mexico. I know all my neighbors. They all know me. Mostly they like me. I don't like all of my neighbors back home because sometimes they're a little nosy. They call it metiche in Spanish. But the bottom line is I got to do the best I can at every single thing because I don't know how many opportunities I'm going to get in life. And you journalists out there, I want to say this to you, a caveat, if you will. You have a responsibility to do the best that you can too while you have the window and the audience that you do have and that you do enjoy. Do not squander it by putting out falsehoods. Make sure that your work is quality so that when someone like me comes along, because they will, there will be another Dave, that they don't slam you because you've invested your future and the futures of the people that you're reporting on with a pack of lies. It is friggin' crazy that I can have the experience and the story that I've got, and none of these people want me on their fucking podcast. Shawn Ryan, Joe Rogan, Lex Fridman, the entire gamut of that stuff, which is fine, man. They got their own shows. They don't owe me anything. But that just demonstrates that there is an agenda being pushed. The people like Ed Calderon can be in the public sphere for 12 years or something, and no one knows his full last name, not even his knife instructor, that is filling out certificates that Ed is asking to return to work, which should bear both of his last names. And I like Ed. I like Eddie. I like people in general. My wife says I'm aggressive, which I am, but I'm also a people person. And if you were here on my yard and you asked me for a friggin' steak, I just had someone hit the corner in their vehicle the other day. My wife got a little irritated and he hit the corner. It was a dirt embankment with railroad 2x4s on the front of it. And he hit it going so fast that he pushed the whole thing in. He's lucky it didn't kill him. And I went out there. I got him out of the car.
You bring him in to eat.
I brought him in to eat. And this is who I am as a guy, man. Because I don't like being ugly, and I've been ugly so much my whole life, man. Like, really fucking mean, dude. Growing up with a fucking transsexual. Things that still hurt. Growing up with the fucking dad that's going to choke you, a stepdad that's going to choke you out because you don't do dishes. Little scar on the inside of my lip where he hit me because I ate a piece of chocolate the size of a quarter. Another scar up here from his rings. I've been ugly so much my whole life that even though I am aggressive, it's kind of a survival tactic. I like being nice to people, and the people that I'm talking smack about isn't because I don't like them. I would totally grill you a steak. If you come to my house, I will grill you a steak of your choice, even that Wagyu overpriced Japanese bullshit, because that's just who I am, man. You know, I got the most sweetest, kindest wife, and it's not because I'm an asshole. Really. But you guys out there doing these journalist stories, they're
doing shows. It's not journalists. You need to understand. It's just a show.
That's correct, but it's being claimed as journalism. The people, those of you out there that want to be serious journalists, and Kat, you know what? I believe that you do.
It's just a show, dude.
Whoa. I want to say this to her. I believe that you do want to be a serious journalist because you have been at certain places, Vancouver City News, CNN in Edmonton. You do have enough balls to at least show up in country. That much is true. Bebopping around in your blue jeans and stuff, whatever. You know what? To each their own. But you have a responsibility to present things correctly. And when you are wrong, and when I catch you in something like, for example, the cartel rehab story, you should issue retractments. I've issued retractments on you guys where I think that you guys are telling the truth. I did a big one on Ed Calderon, finding out that he worked for Baja California State Police with the CUIP, or the Clave Única Identificación Policiaca, the police identification code number that he gave me. That was definitely there in 2004. It doesn't have a fecha de Baja, but he was there. I issued a retraction because it's friggin' responsible. So, hey, man, not going to get long-winded. Got some stuff I got to do. You only get an opportunity. You big guys, Julian, I love your show, man. And I'm grateful for when you have been fair with me. And I'm also said the things that I've had to say, and they're accurate. Tommy G, I don't know what's up with you, dude. Do like some of your content. You got a lot of following. Vince, would love to do an interview with you, man. I would drive to Salt Lake City tomorrow if you told me okay. You guys got these huge channels, man, and I don't even want any money out of it. It's not the way I'm going. I'm going with, I was homeworking my books, man. You know, I'm pretty consistent because I have to stay that way, because otherwise I'll break off into too many, I'll get distracted and I won't get shit done. So, hey, just kind of what's on my mind. The fact that you can have DEA agents sitting there involucrating the CIA, potentially the FBI, but definitely the CIA, U.S. Marshal Service, and the DEA sitting there telling them that all three of those major agencies, in one way or another, are responsible for flooding the country with drugs, which I take super personally because that definitely had an impact on me and my family. I know I had an impact on a lot of other people too, including Mexican families south of the border. Agencies like the ATF putting weapons into the hands of cartels only so Eric Holder can sit there and claim executive privilege. But you still had all the agents that were willing to put those guns in the hands of people that wound up shooting at me and my brothers, or people that wound up shooting at other Mexican people like my wife or her, or the people that she knows, her people that she cares about, her friends. And you have this government that's sitting there putting in data centers everywhere, and it's not to run AI. We've already got AI, dude. They don't need thousands and thousands of data centers and flock things everywhere, and Palantir drones and billionaire bunkers and every other fucking thing that's going on in the world that's just crazy. The least you can do is demand evidence from the people that you're listening to, and if they're not giving you evidence, they should STHU or STFU. Shut the fuck up. or prove your case, whichever it is. So, kind of what I've got on my mind tonight. Cheers, guys. I've got some more stuff I got to do. It's already getting late. Hey, man, just one more little snippet, because there was a really important comment on my video that I put up this morning. And it was a comment that I heard it because the word malandros was used in a snippet that I had inserted into the video this morning from Ed Calderon and Shawn Ryan. And a malandro in Spanish isn't necessarily someone that's attached to a cartel. It's just someone that's out doing things that they shouldn't be doing. A miscreant would be a good term for it. Could be a felon. Could be a criminal. Prestupnik in Russian, if you want to go that way. But what was interesting is why... No, we have to wait for the motorcycle. I'm waiting for the motorcycle. What was interesting is why it would be that when Ed Calderon is sitting there at the table with the elderly couple seated across from Ed and Shawn Ryan, Ed to the left, Shawn to the right, the lady to the left, and then the guy to the right, and they're sitting there wearing their little red masks, and they're out in public, why it would be that Ed Calderon is sitting there translating everything in Spanish for Shawn Ryan, when Shawn Ryan was sitting there doing contract work or whatever, and then going to Colombia, and had been in Colombia long enough to sit there, his own words, try to start a drug running ring in Colombia, like you would do that without a working command of the fucking Spanish language to begin with. Yes, okay. De hecho, tanto así que yo voy a decir eso en español que Shawn Ryan se puede entender perfectamente bien. Oye, Shawn, ¿qué chingas estás haciendo en Colombia tratando de generar una red de narcóticos en Colombia, en un país extranjero donde tú quieres vender cocaína en un país ajena de ti, a donde fuiste? Y luego tú tienes que tener Ed Calderon sentadito a tu izquierda para traducirlo todo que está dicho por otra pareja de mexicanos en México. Es ok. De hecho, yo siendo gringo, sentadito aquí en mi oficina diciendo todo eso en español. Y tú tienes que tener Ed traduciendo todo para ti. ¿Que no fuiste a Colombia o qué? Porque eso está bastante raro, Bastante, demasiado. No sé, I don't know. Maybe that's why Shawn doesn't want me on his thing, you know. Just little details like that come out in the wash, man. It's really strange why Shawn would want Ed Calderon translating Spanish for him when apparently he was in Colombia long enough to try to set up a drug running ring. Like you would do that shit without having a complete command over the Spanish language. I sure as hell wouldn't. I wouldn't be in Russia sitting there trying to stick my hands in the bowls of ink, getting in all kinds of trouble, leaving marks everywhere if I didn't have a thorough friggin' command of Spanish, or Russian as it were. So just things to think about, you know, when you're sitting there listening to all this stuff on YouTube.